while ago, I watched a video from Brian over at Tech City, and he bought the cheapest Beautiful 50 motherboard off of AliExpress, and he was genuinely surprised at the performance of that board. So I decided to buy one for myself, just to see if everyone else is stupid, or this is genuinely a good buy. The machinist Beautiful 50 motherboard is an AM4 based motherboard, boasting support for the entire Ryzen lineup. It comes with support for 1 NVMe M.2 3.0 slot, dual channel DDR4 up to 64GB, 4+2 power phase delivery, a PCIe 3.0 x16 slot, and a secondary PCIe 3.0 x 1 slot for expansion. One glaring downside is the CPU power header only supports a single 4-pin, which is limiting for faster higher-end CPUs such as the 5900X or 5950X. Though the lack of any power delivery heatsinks will probably be an issue much earlier than the lack of power delivery. The I/O is quite bare bones as well. It has support for 4 USB 2.0 ports, 2 USB 3.0 ports, a HDMI port, a VGA port, Gigabit Ethernet and 3 audio jacks. So nothing mind-blowing, but it can get the job done, but it's definitely not the greatest lineup of ports. With the supposed support for Ryzen 1000 to 5000, this board is a plug-and-play for most Ryzen CPUs. So naturally, I bought the one CPU off AliExpress, the 5700X3D, that doesn't work. So I had to dig through my pile of dead CPUs to find a different CPU, but maybe one that isn't too old. Thankfully I was able to punch my little brother in the stomach and steal the Ryzen 7 5800X I bought for him for his birthday last year. The Ryzen 7 5800X is an 8-core 16-thread Zen 3 based CPU released back in 2020. It still has great single core performance and runs at a base clock of 3.8 GHz and a boost clock of around 4.7 GHz. This chip is still a bit pricey on the second-hand market, and my recommendation is for most people to opt for either the 5700X for better price to performance, or spend a little extra for the 5700X3D for around 15% more FPS in gaming. I'm pairing the 5800X with 16GB of Corsair DOM Plats. And an RX 6800 XT for the most sensible pairing of components. The 5800X can comfortably handle much faster cards such as a 4070 Super or a 7900 XT, however I'm broke as and cannot afford those. So be sure to subscribe so I can buy one of these cards before scalpers get their hands on it. I'll be testing the 5800X in the same 3 games, Silent Hill 2, Spider-Man 2 and CS2. But ladies and gentlemen, our Australian internet has blessed us and we've added 2 new contestants to the pool. Valorant and The Last of the Last of Us Part 1 joined the roster for the game tests. And now it's time to put the test setup on the jank bench.
Oh my god, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man? Get your ass on, boy.
That's hella janky. And of course, what kind of jank bench video would this be without Almo from the Fee series messing with the setup and overall trying to ruin my day? It really freaked me the f*** out. Thankfully, I didn't have to contact HP and wait 15 minutes before my problem could be fixed. Damn, are they for real? And I just restarted my setup and all was good. First game up as always is Silent Hill 2. With the beefy 5800X, the game ran decently well at 1080p with over 100 FPS average with 1% lows into the 80s, thanks to this game's disgusting loading stutters. Thank you, Unreal Engine 5. The next game I ran was Spider-Man 2. At 1080p high settings, the game both looked great and ran great, with averages in the mid-80s and 1% lows into the high 60s. The B450M surprisingly was able to maintain the 5800X's boost clocks, hovering around 4.5 to 4.6 GHz most of the time I was running the game. Next up is CS2's community-made benchmark tool. At 1080p medium with no FSR, this CPU and GPU combo was able to pump out an impressive number with an average FPS of 365 and 0.1% lows in the 120s. Extrapolating from this data, expect similar FPS numbers in other esports games such as Rocket League, Rainbow Six Siege, and Overwatch. And now to a new addition to the family, the Last of Us Sanity Part 1, which gave me issues. Will I ever catch a break with these games? So the first time I ran the game, it crashed hard, to the point where I got a blue screen so distorted and messed up, it burned a hole through my monitor and opened a portal to hell. A second test run managed to curb the hell invasion and our FPS figures were pretty decent. The game defaulted to 1080p high settings and we were seeing around the mid 80s in terms of average FPS, 1% less than the low 70s. For a game that crashed harder than a drunk driver in an empty bar, it drove pretty well, I mean ran. For the final game, I ran Valorant at 1080p high settings and was seeing consistent FPS above 300, with drops into the 200s but lots of particle effects were on the screen. Again, this motherboard was able to keep up with the 5800X, keeping the clocks well maintained and didn't give us any sort of slowdowns or stutters. Though to be fair, Valorant could run on a petri dish full of penicillin if you really wanted to, so no big surprises there. Therefore, how worthy is the cheapest B450 motherboard off of AliExpress? I'd say if you're really hurting on cash and you're not planning to use something newer like a 5700X 3D or something more power hungry like a 5950X, this motherboard is actually punching above its weight class here. When it's not busy letting the girl from the ring enter my house, it performs as expected and did not overheat nearly as much as I thought. I'd strongly recommend you pair it with something less power hungry such as a Ryzen 5 3600 or a Ryzen 5 5600 and you'll be gaming fine just fine with some cheaper DDR4 3200MHz RAM or for under 250 Australian dollars or 150 US dollars. Thank you so much for watching this review. Please like, comment and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already and I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay janky.